All for being here tonight. I appreciate you also having us here tonight. Please enjoy the session, have fun, and I will see you later. Goodbye.
I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you very much. Let us begin. Now then, we are going to be talking about the idea of the future. Of course, the future doesn't really exist, but just because something doesn't exist doesn't mean I don't have a lot to say about it. So, let's lay a few foundations before we get into some specifics so that you can all understand what kind of ideas we are going to be talking about. Let us lay down a few principles with the issue of time. Now, many of you have been hearing on your planet for thousands of years that time is an illusion, and it is. What you may call the past, the present, and the future actually all exist right now, simultaneously. The analogy that we have often used is either the symbol of your television or your movie film. You know that when you turn on your television set, there are many, many programs available to you all at the same time, but you only get the one that your television is tuned to at any given moment. So that you understand that what you call past lives, future lives, present life are all going on. They all exist at the same time, but you only get the one that you are focused on at any given moment. And so this is what makes it possible for you to receive information and experience from other lives, past, present, or future, because they really all coexist simultaneously. And receiving information, therefore, is similar to the idea of simply changing your channel and turning to a different frequency of energy. So that is why we say there really is no such thing as the future per se, in the sense that the future is out there somewhere. It's all happening right now. But just as there are many, 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 many different kinds of past lives, there are also many different kinds of possible futures. And that is why we say there is no such thing as the future, and why we have said there is no such thing as a prediction of the future, implying that there is only one fixed future, because there isn't. Many of your quantum physicists are now beginning to understand the concept of what is called parallel realities. That when you make a decision in this life to do a particular thing, and then go and do it, other decisions you could have made are simultaneously being lived out by different versions of you in other parallel lives as well, simultaneously. And there are an infinite number of parallel worlds. Every possible experience that could be being experienced is being experienced all at the same time. But the idea is that whatever frequency your energy is operating on is what determines the focus of the experience you are having, so that you don't necessarily know that all these other experiences are also going on. Now, when you make a decision, every single change you make, that shifts your frequency to another vibration. And when you change your frequency, when you change your vibration, then what you experience is a parallel reality from the one you were in before. So the consciousness that you are, in a sense, is big enough to experience any of those infinite parallel realities. And when you make a shift in your consciousness, you shift your focus and begin experiencing whatever parallel reality is in harmony with your new vibration. But not only is there a frequency of the consciousness that experiences all the different parallel realities, there is also a level to your consciousness called the signature vibration that creates consistency and continuity at the same time so that you always know you are you. This signature vibration in your consciousness allows for a sense that when you make a change, you still recognize yourself as yourself instead of becoming such a completely different person that you have no recollection of who you used to be. However, sometimes it is possible in physical reality to actually experience a disconnection from your signature vibration. And when you do that, then you wind up with what you call multiple personality disorder. And then you make a shift in your consciousness from person to person, becoming different people, but have no connection that it is all happening to the same one being. Now let us go back to the issue of the future. And as we mentioned, there are many, many possible future realities. And this is why predicting the future is always so very, very tricky. Because when a person makes a prediction, they are not actually predicting the future. They are sensing the energy that exists in the present. That is the strongest energy that exists. And then if that energy doesn't change, then that may lead to events that will unfold. But then if that energy does change, then the event that they originally predicted or sensed in the present will not unfold the way they sensed it and will unfold in a completely different way. And that is why many predictions don't come true. Now, here is the greatest paradox of all. The prediction itself can actually have the effect of changing the energy, because now you know what the energy of the moment is, and if you don't prefer it and then change it because you were told what the energy is, then the prediction itself made itself obsolete. So this does not mean that the person making the prediction was wrong. It simply means that what they sensed at that moment changed in energy and thus did not need to come to pass, but then will occur in a parallel reality. So when someone senses a very, very strong energy with a lot of momentum, a lot of energy behind it in the present, then it's possible that if the energy is strong enough, it will not change, then that prediction will come to pass. So please understand that when we continue this day of your time to talk about things that may happen in the future, what we are doing is sensing the energy that exists at the present. Now, the things that we will talk about will be things, situations that have enough energy behind them that they may be less likely to change than some other things. So, for example, when we say that it is highly likely that by your year 2015, most people on your planet will be aware of the existence of extraterrestrials, we say this because we sense that the energy behind this idea is not very likely to change, and so has a high degree of probability of coming true. We do not necessarily read the pattern that tells us exactly how this knowledge might come about, but when we look at the overall general pattern of the people on Earth, we can see in a general sense that certain energies are heading toward that idea unfolding, where you will know, you will have an awareness of the existence of extraterrestrials, but we do not know how you will necessarily come to that awareness. Now, we can follow the thread of that energy on a larger scale to see what energy still reads strongly in the present with regard to this idea, and we can come up with something that might even be a little bit further into what you call the future. So while on one hand, we can say that it is highly likely that by 2015, most people on the Earth will be aware of the existence of extraterrestrials, we can also follow the thread of that energy and say that by the year 2037, we can guarantee that most people on the planet will know of the existence of extraterrestrials, and that the way they will know it by then will be because many extraterrestrials will have actually made contact on the Earth physically. One of the things that we are doing in communicating to your world in this way, through this biological transceiver, which you call a channel, is that our energy is adding to the energy of your collective consciousness to help bring about these future contacts physically. We have chosen to do it this way slowly, first with words, and then later with physical contact, so that the transition and introduction of an extraterrestrial society to human society will be smooth and beneficial and not upsetting and not jarring, nor cause damage to your human society. One of the ways the beings in my society prepare to be able to do this kind of communication is by often choosing to have a life, an incarnation in the society to whom we will be speaking. So while my consciousness and my being exists in what you would call the future, you can then also recognize that the channel sitting in the chair in front of you is actually a past incarnation of mine on Earth that I am speaking through. By choosing to have a past incarnation on Earth, then by having the human experience, we can begin to understand some of the concepts that exist in your society. And we can communicate with you more easily than we would be able to if we did not have the human experience. So, then, let us continue with the idea of what may be in store for your world in the probable future that we believe has a great deal of energy behind it and may be unlikely to change, although there may be some small, subtle changes in what we will say. So since we have begun with the subject of what you call extraterrestrials, we will continue with that subject for a moment. If you have questions later that we have not covered about any of these subjects, then by all means, you may ask for further details and clarification, but we will begin with some general ideas for now. So, as we have said, as we read the energy now, this is what is likely to unfold with regard to your planet and interaction or knowledge of extraterrestrials over the course of the next few decades. There will continue from 2005 to 2010 to be many more what you call UFO sightings in different places around the world. Most likely, sometime around your year of 2015, there will be more releasing of information from certain governments on your planet about what they have already known about extraterrestrials for many years. Most likely, sometime between your years of 2020 and 2030, you will discover that within your own solar system, there are other simple forms of life on certain planets and planetary moons. It is likely that there will also be an event that will occur in space near your planet that will give you a very strong sign that extraterrestrial life exists. We cannot tell you exactly what the event will be, but it will confirm or reinforce the idea that extraterrestrials may have been involved in the event. This event is likely, most likely to occur sometime between 2013 and 2017. Once your planet becomes aware of the existence of extraterrestrials one way or another, then there can be more increased physical contact. At first, this will be with a few single individuals around your planet. This increase in singular individual contacts will probably begin somewhere around your year of 2030. And there will be more and more and more contacts, and more contacts with groups of people between your years of 2030 and 2037. And then it is likely, as the energy stands now, that between 2037 and 2040, there will be an open contact that will actually allow the Earth to develop diplomatic relations with other civilizations on other planets. And within that time frame, then, will be the establishment of Earth as an initiate within what you might call our Association of Worlds or Interstellar Alliance. It will be like the beginning of a type of initiation or apprenticeship, so that you can learn how to function as an entire planet within the Association of Worlds, which contains many, many civilizations. You will learn over the course of many years, between the years of 2040 and 2050 and beyond, how to interact with other civilizations in a smooth and beneficial way. Some individuals will also at that time be trained to begin to interact slowly with other civilizations that are not quite ready to join the Interstellar Alliance, much in the same way that you right now are not quite ready to join. So just as we interact with you, you will begin to be trained to learn how to interact with others who might almost be ready to join, and help them get ready in the same way we are also helping you get ready to join. Now, obviously, for these kinds of things to happen in your society, many different kinds of changes will need to take place in other areas of your society as well. Obviously, there will have to be changes in your political structure. Obviously, there will be some changes in your social structure. Obviously, there will be some changes in your religious structure. Obviously, there will be some changes in your economic structure. Obviously, there will be some changing in your understanding of science and technology. Obviously, there will be some change in your understanding of your relationship to the Earth itself and nature. And obviously, there will need to also be some changes in the nature of the structure of your own human personalities on an individual basis. There may also be some changes in the conditions on your planet. And we will address these issues in a moment. Now, one of the points we wish to make with regard to how to begin to change some of the systems to help support the concept of extraterrestrial contact is as follows. First of all, of course, please understand that we must respect the systems you have already created. The governmental systems, political systems, all these different systems. We cannot just come in and force a change upon you. We must respect the systems and the policies you have already put in place. So what we have communicated recently to many people in the United States area of your planet is the concept of creating what might be called an open contact law. The purpose of this is as follows. Right now, there is not one cohesive, harmonious, organized policy for your planet as to how the different societies on your planet would deal with alien contact. So we have extended a suggestion and an invitation to the people of your planet, all countries who are willing to do so, to create policies, to conference and interact with each other in each country and between each country to create what would be, in your estimate, a harmonious set of policies to allow you to know what to do when suddenly you find yourself dealing with aliens who have contacted your planet. So, for example, you might want this policy to contain the idea that if and when alien contact does occur openly, that you would want to say that there would be a guarantee that all people on the planet would be told of it, so that the information would be delivered to everyone equally. So we invite you to begin to create these open contact policies. Generate one for your country, as other beings will generate one law for their country. Then work together to have everyone, as many people as possible, agree to these policies around your entire planet. Now, the reason for creating something like this is not only so that you will have a coordinated response to the idea of extraterrestrial contact, but also for another very important reason. And this important reason is connected to the idea that we said, where we must respect the policies on your planet that already exist in your governments. And one of the reasons why there is not open contact between humans and extraterrestrials at this time is because you do not have one single coordinated global policy about the idea of being willing to allow such contact to happen. So the creation of such a policy will actually send an energy, an acknowledgement to us and other extraterrestrials that the majority of the people on your planet are actually open to contact with extraterrestrials when willing for it to occur. And then that will make it more likely, more possible for us to interact with you more openly, because you will have then acknowledged that it is possible and that you desire it. So if you find this idea exciting, then by all means, use your creative imaginations and begin to create such an open contact policy. This is often the first step in a planet's initiation to becoming a member of the Interstellar Alliance. If you can create such a policy within the next 7 of your years and establish it as the actual official policy of your country, and then start to get other countries to also sign this and coordinate the text of this policy with other countries so everyone agrees to it, that will accelerate the energy of our ability to interact with you greatly. And then you will have made a conscious choice to include the idea of interaction with us in your future. And we thank you for allowing us to work together with you on this by allowing us to suggest this project. We look forward to seeing many of you face to face someday. Now, let us talk about other changes and other possible things that you may experience in your future. Obviously, one of the biggest changes taking place on your planet is the whole idea of the exploration and expansion of awareness and spirituality. Otherwise, this conversation. But even as many of you on your planet expand your consciousness toward the light, many of you on your planet will also use this time to expand your consciousness toward the dark. For this is a time when, at the end of this cycle now that you are experiencing, whatever the strongest vibration is that you hold to be true within you is going to be amplified, magnified, and manifested more strongly, more quickly. And this is why, even at the same time you are seeing an increase in the expansion of awareness and spirituality, you're also seeing an increase in the idea of suffering and negativity in many places on your planet as well. You are at the end of an old cycle and the beginning of a new cycle, and anytime you arrive at the end of an old cycle, you will then increase the rate at which your transition from one cycle to another occurs. So any conflicts that still remain from the old cycle will be brought up in a much more magnified way, brought to the surface so everyone can see both the light and the dark very clearly, so you can really make a clear and conscious choice about which you prefer to exist in your future. So many individuals on your planet who live in fear and may then also attempt to cause fear in others will seem to become stronger and stronger for a little while longer. But the darkness is not a supportive vibration, and eventually they will not be able to sustain that kind of negative energy for long, and they will, in that sense, collapse. Many of the old systems will begin to break down more and more, and between 2005 and 2015, you will find that certain things will no longer work in the way that they used to. So it would really not be of benefit to attempt to change those old systems, but of more benefit would be to now use your creativity and positive energy to create new systems that will then replace the old ones or automatically be there when the old ones collapse. And this is why it is so important for those of you who are exploring your spirituality and your consciousness and your passion and your joy to give over to the idea of your passion and create new projects, new ideas, new technologies, and all of that, so that there will be the support needed by the people on your planet when the old system no longer works for you. And so in that way, you can allow yourself not to focus on the idea that things may fall apart, but to focus on the idea as to what can be created to take their place in a more positive way. And as you create these new systems, then you will also create more open communication on your planet between different cultures, different countries, and begin to form a new kind of network that will create a support system globally that will allow certain old things to fall away and not seriously impact the new system too badly. And this is why you are also experiencing at this time on your planet the idea of investigating alternate sources of energy, alternate sources of communication, and so forth, so that you can establish new ways of doing what needs to be done. And even the understanding of your scientists is becoming far more metaphysical. When quantum physics talks about the existence of parallel realities, and when quantum physics talks about the idea that no physical reality exists except what you imagine it to be, then you understand that the barriers between spirit and science are breaking down and becoming one thing, which is how it will exist in the future. And even as individuals did back in the times of Atlantis, and as certain individuals in history have also attempted to recreate, you will eventually learn to tap unlimited sources of energy from the very electromagnetic field around your planet and in what you call other dimensions of space-time. And in the future that we perceive, eventually, you will have not so much the idea of governments on your planet, but organizing bodies that coordinate information in a way to benefit all who need it and make it available to all who require it. These organizing groups will not rule, they will serve. And as more and more and more of you exploring your spirituality develop an understanding of your own personal connection to the infinite, to all that is, and to creation, then religion will also not be as structured or as necessary, for you will not need a go-between or a middleman in order to explain the concept of God or all that is to you. You will have your own connection to it individually. Many individuals and many groups may still maintain particular specific cultural ways of expressing that relationship, but it will simply be because you are simply honoring a particular way of experiencing all that is. It will not be, in that sense, excluding any other expression as being more right or more wrong. They will all be recognized. All rituals will be recognized as valid ways of having a personal relationship with creation. Economic. You may actually hold on to your monetary systems a little bit longer than you thought you would, because there is nothing wrong with the idea of money as a symbol of exchange. But your definitions of abundance will also change when you realize that you will create many more ways to be able to do what you need to do without always requiring the symbol of money. When your technology begins to tap into sources of unlimited energy,
you will also find ways to create what you need without necessarily having the idea of a monetary system to regulate it. So on one level of your global society, you may not need money, but you may retain the idea of money for different kinds of personal exchanges or agreements between you simply because it is convenient. So it will not completely disappear from your society for quite some time, but it will not necessarily carry the same meaning with regard to its representation as being wealth. It will simply be maintained to allow for a fluidity of exchange in certain circumstances in your society, but it will not necessarily any longer be the actual symbol of wealth when you can tap into unlimited sources of energy. That will be wealth. Now, physiological changes on the Earth. Obviously, your planet, like many planets, goes through different cycles. You must understand that the Earth, in that sense, is also a consciousness, a living thing, and it is constantly evolving and changing itself. Here and there may be some increased activity of what you would call earth tremors. Here and there, you may see some increased activity of what you would call volcanoes. Here and there, you may see some changes in what you call weather patterns and the electromagnetic field of your planet. Here and there may be the idea of melting of ice caps and flooding in certain areas. And here and there, certain people, because of their vibration, may draw themselves to certain areas where they may experience the idea of damage and perhaps even death. But these changes will be relatively localized. Do not fear these ideas as the destruction of your planet. It will not mean the destruction of your world. The Earth is only going through its own transformation, even as each and every one of you individually is going through your own energy transformation. Even though certain things in some areas may seem severe with regard to things like weather and dis-ease, it will not mean the annihilation of your entire world. So, the idea is that the more you stay within your energy of balance and passion, then you will simply make it unnecessary that you will need to attract yourself to an area that might experience the transformation in what you might call an extreme way. And if you stay within the energy of your passion and are consciously aware that you do not need to experience transformation in a negative way, then even if you are in an area of severe change, it could be happening all around you, but will leave you completely unaffected if your vibration of fear does not come to the forefront to connect you to the negative transition. Now, with all of these general ideas and all of these general changes that we read in your energy now that are likely to occur over the next 40 to 50 of your years, we can also say this about the Earth beyond that time. There will be a very strong increase in the idea of harmony after 2050 that will last on your planet for many, 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 many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And sometime around your year of 3,000, humans will likely no longer need to incarnate on the Earth, and there will then be a new form of life that will evolve to begin its journey in the Earth vibration. Your spirits, your souls will then most likely, for most of you, then only incarnate, if you wish to incarnate at all, in other more advanced civilizations. Although some of you may also decide for a time to stay connected to the Earth as spirit guides for the new life that will evolve so that you can help them in their evolutionary growth. This then is a very broad general overview of what seems to be a likely future reality based on the energy we are reading in your collective society at present. We believe from our perspective that over the next few decades, this will create a reality for all of you that is exciting and challenging and can become very, very, very beautiful. And relationships in your society will take on a whole new perspective, a whole new meaning as you begin to really understand what relationships are really all about. For all relationships that you attract into your reality are fundamentally for the purpose of allowing everyone in the relationship to reflect to each other what they need to see and learn about themselves to become more of who they truly are within their natural soul vibration. So, let us begin with the idea of discussion, communications, and questions. If you have questions now, would be the time to interact with us.
Question, okay?
Yes, but all right, but wait a minute, what happened to hello and good day?
Hello, good day とか言ってくださいませんか？
はじめましてバシャール。
Hello, Bashar, how do you
Good
do?
day to you.
こんにちは。
今日は会えて嬉しいです。
All right,
I'm
by all-
happy to see you.
Oh, we are very happy to sense you there. Always very appreciative of all interactions that we have with your people, for this increases our understanding of creation through you. So to you and all of you, thank you for the gift of being willing to share with us. What is your question?
I think that official contact is going to be very important.
Oh, all right, so do we.
I believe that is very significant to help our human consciousness to change.
All right, yes, in some senses it is significant to help human consciousness to change, but also don't forget the idea of human consciousness changing first is what is significant to help bring about contact.
ことです。
You see what I am saying?
I have a question regarding that.
Yes.
Well, I have to share my experience. I think I have contact with this being called Zeta.
All right. Many of you have had certain kinds of contact with beings that are known as grays or zetas. Yes. But please understand, what you call gray beings or zetas are not actually literally extraterrestrials. They are actually a type of human from a parallel reality who used to look more like you, but caused changes in their environment that caused their bodies to change to adapt to those negative changes. In their parallel human world, they destroyed their planet and caused certain changes to happen in their genetic structure that prevents them now from being capable of reproducing. And they realized that if they did not do something to correct that problem, then their species would die out. And with their powerful technology, they scanned parallel realities to find parallel humans, such as from your world, where there would be similar enough genetic material that they could combine their material with yours and create a new hybrid species that would allow their civilization to continue. And in the creation of many of these hybrid beings that are partly gray, partly human, then these hybrid civilizations then in the future also exist as their own civilization, one of which being my civilization. So many of you have had interactions with these beings so that they could in themselves use your genetic material in the helping of the creation of these hybrid beings. This is why they are capable of doing this, because they are also, in essence, at least fundamentally, human. That's why your genetic makeups are compatible enough to create hybrid beings. Otherwise, if they were truly extraterrestrial, truly alien, your genetics would be incompatible for such a project. Now, one of the side effects of them interacting with people on your planet is that because they have the ability to move interdimensionally between parallel realities, some of that energy and some of that ability is actually rubbing off on many of you. Because most of these Zeta beings or Greys communicate telepathically. And when they do that, then changes actually occur in your consciousness that allow you to become less limited, less locked into physical dimensionality and make you more capable of actually expanding to other realities. Does this explanation make some sense to you?
納得します。
Yes.
でその時恐怖心が浮かび上がってきてしまったんですね。
Well, I had a fear coming up when I had the contact.
Yes,
Hi.
because they are coming from another dimension. Their vibration is not the same as your vibration. And anytime you are exposed to an unfamiliar shift in your frequency like that when you don't expect it, it will cause different kinds of ideas in your consciousness to come to the surface that you may not necessarily be ready to handle or ready to integrate. This is one of the reasons why we and other civilizations do not immediately come into physical contact with you, because our vibration is very different. And if we were to force our vibration on your vibration, then it would actually cause certain things in your consciousness to come to the forefront that you may not yet be ready or willing to face and integrate within yourself. And this can cause fear within you and sometimes even psychic shock. We will not do that to you. So the Zetas or Greys do not have the same kind of policy, because even though in their reality, in their dimension, they may exist on many different planets, again, they are actually fundamentally human, and as far as they are concerned, moving into a parallel human reality such as yours, in that sense, does not require permission. You must also understand that one of the things they also, shall we say, lost in the change that occurred within them was the ability, in that sense, to emotionally identify with their former human nature. So in that sense, they may seem unconcerned about you or cold when they interact with you, but they do not necessarily intend to be harmful. They just feel that their project to save themselves is more important than your temporary discomfort. Does this make some sense to you?
Well, I was afraid that this fear may interfere with the contact.
No, at
Yeah.
this point it will not. But always it is important to work on the idea that if you have fear, then it allows you to look at what it is and allows you to deal with that frequency and then change it if you prefer to change it, which will then improve your chances of other kinds of contact. So if you are experiencing fear in something, then acknowledge it, it belongs there, and at least do not judge the fear, because it is not the fear that will stop you, it is being afraid of the fear that will stop you. Remember that fear can be looked at as a messenger, delivering information to you about a belief you may have that might be out of alignment with your true self, but then because the fear has put you in touch with it, the fear has actually served a positive purpose. And if you look at it that way, then that will not stop you from doing anything you need to do. Does that help clarify the situation for you sufficiently?
ありがとうございま
Grateful.
す。
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there another question then
他
from
に
another
質問
person?
ありますか？
Hello, Bashar. I'm glad to see you.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much. Even though you are not actually seeing me literally, we understand the sentiment. Thank you.
Unlike the previous person, I don't know all those difficult, complicated things.
Yes.
Well, us the Earth people, will we be happier 10 years from now and maybe more happy 50 years from now?
In general, you will find that the happiness you are talking about globally will probably be more likely after the idea of your year of 2030, but individually, you can be happy today. And the more of you that choose to be happy today, the more likely you will make it that it's possible for your world to be globally happy in the near future. Does that make sense?
Well, you said that we will begin to not to have so much money idea in the future, and then eventually the alien and ET will come to the Earth. But I'm afraid that if they do come, perhaps the human will go back to the ancient time, or maybe we regress.
Yes, but again, remember, as we said, we do not make contact until the energy of humans has changed sufficiently so that that will not occur. That's why we're not making contact yet. And
ですから
also why we suggested the idea of the project of everyone creating an open contact policy, because through that process, many people will become less and less fearful about the idea, and that will change the energy sufficiently for contact to occur. Slowly at first, and then more and more when you are ready. We're not going to force this on you. There would be no point to that. Now, we are not saying that there may not be many humans who will be afraid. But the idea is that there is not necessarily anything we can do to change that. As long as the majority of your people are willing to accept it, then we can at least begin the idea of contact in a way that at least respects what everyone on your planet wants, and we will do it slowly. Some people may never get used to it, however, and there is not much we can change about that once the majority of your planet is willing to accept it. But the individuals that are not ready for it will never meet us, so they will be all right. Does that address your question?
I have another question.
すいません、他の方も質問したいと思うの
I
で、
understand that other people may want to ask question.
Yes, yes.
So is it okay? I just put them all together, all my questions together in one go.
Ask what you feel is the most important thing you would like to discuss. It's up to you. Ask it however you wish to ask it.
Well, what I want to ask the most for me is that as I do exciting things, which makes me exciting, it seems like as I do that more and more, I get away from my original dream.
What are you referring to as your original dream?
But which is to get slimmer and become smart, that I can fit into the size 7.
And in what way do you think that your excitement is actually moving you away from your dream?
食べることが大好きなんです
Because I love eating.
Yes, but you must look at the underlying belief systems within your own personality, and you may find that the idea is actually not resulting from following your excitement, but actually from giving in to certain fears you have about yourself. Or the original dream is not really representative of your excitement, and being a little bit more round won't matter. You have to really make the determination which direction really is representative of your excitement, because many people on your planet sometimes take actions they think are representative of their excitement, but in fact, they're actually disguising the fact that they're actually running away from their excitement, but making that feel pleasurable so they won't have to think about the fact that they're really moving away from their excitement. You have to decide if that's what's happening for you. I am not saying that you cannot enjoy your food, but if you are overdoing it, it may be because you are attempting to use the food to fill an area that you are not filling with something else, such as self-love. You'll have to have an honest self-examination of your deepest belief systems in order to discover whether or not that is what you're actually doing, is using the food to cover up something else you don't want to look at. You have to figure out if that's what you're doing. Does this make some sense in the way that I have suggested this approach?
Yes, but Bashar, you said that when we cannot do the most exciting thing, then we should go ahead and do the second exciting thing.
Yes.
Hi.
If that is truly the next most exciting thing. Again, you have to be aware of whether or not what you are choosing to act on is truly representative of excitement, or whether you're just making something feel pleasurable to avoid looking at issues you need to look at. You really always still have to decide whether what you're acting on is your excitement truly or not. Now, we will also, in what you would call an upcoming transmission this weekend of your time, be dealing more specifically with all of the underlying issues having to do with creating an exciting life. And we will have more time then to deal with more specifics and more details than we do now. But that is the general principle, is to always make certain that what you think is representative of your excitement actually truly is, and that you're not just making something look exciting when in fact it may not really be. So, for example, you may have a particular larger thing that is the most exciting thing, but if you also find yourself feeling frustrated that you cannot act on that thing in the way you would like, then you may do something else that you think is representative of the next most exciting thing, but may actually only be representative of the frustration you feel that you're not in touch with. Does this make some sense?
どうでしょうか？
そうなんですよね。
Right.
Thank you. Does that help you then for the moment? As I said, we will go into more depth in this idea in our next communication.
はい、ありがとうござい
Thank
ま
you
した。
very much.
Thank you.
Well, you said that in 50 years' time, possibly that the human may not incarnate in this particular form.
I said in the year 3000.
3000年って言ったんですよ。
すいません。
Sorry.
That's all right. No need to apologize.
謝る必要ありません。
And so,
But she said that then that means that humanity will be extinct. So that would be too sad.
why would that be sad if you are gone on to something very joyful and different? And besides, I didn't say humanity would be extinct, because by then, many, many, many humans will have traveled to the stars and have colonies on other planets as well. I just said you may not incarnate on Earth anymore. That doesn't mean you may not have human civilizations on other planets. Is that more clear now?
はっきりしましたか？
はい、はっきりしまし
Yes,
た。
clear.
Thank you very
ありがとう
much.
ございます。
まだ聞きたいことがたくさんあるので、ぜひ日本にまた来てく
I have
だ
many
さい。
questions, so please come back to Japan.
Oh, I am not in Japan, but I understand what you mean.
私自身は今日本にいるわけではないわけですけども、あなたの気持ちは理解できます。So,
バシャール。
Bashar, please come back to Japan again.
Thank
So-
you. Ka.
Well, what I actually wanted to find out was that where Bashar, your idea and Silver Birch's message overlap each other, so that I can get the best out of both in order to apply that to my life.
All right, well, I believe I just told you exactly how they relate to each other. We agree with the basic fundamental idea, but we gave our particular expression or definition of it. Service to others does not mean you have to sacrifice yourself. In fact, if you are following your highest joy, that will allow you to be of best service to others. Remember, when you talk about the idea of being spirit in afterlife, non-physically, we understand that idea. But also please remember at the same time that you are a spirit now, just in physical form. Your body does not really contain your spirit. Your body is your spirit in physical form. So by staying in the vibration of your truth and your joy, even while you are physically alive, you are polishing your spirit. Does that make sense to you?
言ってることわかりますか？
とってもよくわかりました
Yes, I understand very much.
All right, then thank you very much.
Thank you very much
You are very welcome.
どういたしまして。ちょっと
You may continue with
はい、
other
じゃあ
questions.
Good evening.
And to you, good day.
あなたにも。When I first found out about you, Bashar, I was still in 20s, but nowadays I'm 40s. 20 years has passed.
Oh, all right, but you are still very, very, very young compared to me. I am 154 on my planet. So you are still a child.
ですから私に言わせればあなたはまだ子供だ。
ああ、そうですね。
When I first saw Darren's,
びっくりしました。
Darren's picture in 20s, Darren had a lot of hair, but now I see Darrell's physique. I see maybe the top of his hair is a little gone.
He's starting to look more like me. I have no hair. The males in our species have no hair. The females in our species do. It tends to be white, although there are some exceptions. So as he evolves, as the channel evolves, and his energy becomes more like mine, he's starting to look a little bit more like me.
Well, that was my question, but my real question is about to be expressed now.
Oh, all right, thank you.
どう
Well,
でしょうか？
some time ago, Bashar, you said that the humanity will not solve problems depending using the nuclear weapons. But as I look at what's happening since we have entered into 21st centuries
Yes.
in this earth,
Yes.
seems like the humanity is may resort to the nuclear weapon.
Only very small factions on your planet may use tactical nuclear weapons, but you have already evolved beyond the idea of global nuclear war. That you will not do. There may be limited use in specific areas, yes, but it will not destroy your world. Now, in the past, there have been many times when spaceships have hovered over nuclear missile silos and deactivated them, showing your military and governments that we would not allow you to have global nuclear war because that much release of energy in that way would actually affect more than just your planet. It would affect interdimensionally as well, and we cannot allow that. But there may still be a few circumstances and situations on your planet where it is possible that certain small factions may resort to the idea of nuclear armament in a localized area of your planet. Yes, this is still possible. But if and when that should happen, then it could also have the effect on the people of Earth of absolutely making sure that it will never happen again. So even if that happens, it still might ultimately have a positive effect in the long run. Does that address your question?
Well, I'm concerned with the nuclear situation, not only the armament, but also the nuclear reactor
Yes.
to draw the nuclear energy. In Japan, we have a lot of earthquakes, and
Yes.
yet we have like 11 reactors.
Yes.
And if we do have an accident, then
Yes.
that should have the same effect as the nuclear
In certain ways,
armament.
it will. And as we read the energy now, there is actually still a 70% chance that one of your reactors may, in fact, have a breach
Hi.
within the next 5 to 10 years. However, I can also tell you this. We and others will do our best to send ideas to certain people to make sure that when that breach occurs, that reactor will no longer be running.
Right.
We and other beings will send ideas and energy to certain people on your planet so that when the breach of the reactor occurs, it will already have been shut down and it will not cause as much devastation as it would have had it remained running. And so, of course, then also, when your people tap into the idea of unlimited power from your electromagnetic planetary field and interdimensional space, you will then, of course, no longer need those reactors and they will all be shut down eventually. Again, this is most likely to start happening after your year of 2030.
そうです。
All right?
Well, Bashar, because of you, I quit my work at the company. I'm independent and I'm enjoying my life.
Well, thank you. Then I would say that it's not because of me, it's because of you. Thank you. For the moment, let us all relax and close our eyes, become comfortable, and take a deep breath in and let it out. And another deep breath in and let it out. And one more deep breath in and let it out. Now allow yourself to go into your imagination and either feel or see the idea of the future on your planet that you prefer to see. Allow yourself to create whatever feeling or image you believe is most representative energetically of the dream you have for your planet. Any way you wish to symbolize that beautiful, peaceful, harmonious future, allow yourself to do so. Allow yourself to see this time in your future after humanity has wakened up from an old nightmare and now lives a beautiful dream. Allow yourself to really feel what it is like to live in this future Earth. Feel the freedom. Feel the creativity. Feel the unlimited power and wealth that each and every one of you has access to. Allow yourself to really let this vibration feel solid, that you know with an absolute certainty that you can go anywhere and do anything you need that is a reflection of your true joy. Allow yourself to imagine that you can go anywhere on your planet in the blink of an eye. Allow yourself to imagine that you can leave the earth in great, beautiful spaceships and travel to other worlds. Imagine that you have created together beautiful green parks upon your planet. Imagine that the air is always fresh and clean, and you can breathe deeply and joyfully. Imagine that you are filled with gratitude every single day. Imagine that you have no doubts and no fears whatsoever. That you are free to laugh as easily as children do. That there is nowhere on your planet that is not safe. That you can feel the hearts of all people and all animals beating within your own heart. And that you can feel the connection between your heart and all other hearts on earth. And that you can feel the connection between your life and all other life on earth. And that you can actually feel the consciousness of the earth itself as it supports you as lovingly as a mother would support you. And you can feel the unconditional love of the earth and the sky and the sun and the universe. And every single day and every single night, you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are truly blessed. And in this energy, you feel all your old worries and thoughts melting away. And you feel all your fears and doubts relaxing, softening, and melting away. And so happy, and so grateful, and so very much alive. And you feel us and all beings from other stars extending our deep appreciation and love to you. And you see beautiful, gleaming, crystalline ships landing on the earth and inviting you to take a ride. And as the ship rises off the earth with a beautiful, melodious hum, you feel the energy within you also rise in pitch like a beautiful song. And you realize that your body and the ship are singing together. And you realize that your body and the ship are singing in harmony with your entire world. And you realize that your body and the ship and your entire world are singing in harmony with all of creation. So that no matter where you go, you are always surrounded by this supportive, loving vibration and song. Take a deep, deep breath in and make this song your own song. And hold the breath, and hold the breath, and hold the breath. And when you let it out this way. You have now radiated a beautiful vibration into all of your world, spread like the ripples in a beautiful crystal pond. And as these ripples expand outward, 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 they will also bounce back to you and support you within the same vibration. And they will remind you, when you feel this vibration, that you are made of light. You are the light of creation itself. Shine brightly by living your highest passion and knowing that no matter where your journey takes you and no matter what process you go through, living your passion and being the light that you are is your right.